The arrival of the Imperial fleet. The sun hummed low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the earth. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the danger looming just beyond the clouds. In the vastness of space, a fleet of ships was on its way to Earth. This was not just any fleet. It belonged to the Imperial Armada, a powerful force feared across the galaxy. They had one goal: to conquer Earth and bring its people to their knees. As the fleet approached, the ships filled the sky like dark shadows. Each ship was enormous, with sleek, menacing designs that glinted in the sunlight. The commander of the Imperial fleet, a ruthless alien named General Thrax, surveyed his armada with pride. He believed that Earth would be an easy target. "Prepare for landing," he ordered, his voice cold and commanding. The ships responded with a low hum, ready to unleash their might. On Earth, alarms began to ring in military bases around the world. News of the impending invasion spread like wildfire. People watched in disbelief as the skies darkened with the shadows of the alien ships. Governments scrambled to respond, unsure of how to deal with such a powerful enemy. Major cities went into lockdown, and military leaders gathered in command centers to discuss their next move. General Thrax looked down at the blue planet, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "These humans think they are strong," he muttered to himself. "They will soon learn their place." He had heard stories of Earth's resilience, but he dismissed them as myths. In his mind, the Imperial fleet's advanced technology and military might made them invincible. Meanwhile, on Earth, the atmosphere was tense. Military leaders gathered in a secure bunker, their faces grave. General Carter, a seasoned officer with years of experience, stood at the head of the table. "We need to act fast," he said, pointing at the holographic map of the world. "If we don't come together, we'll be overwhelmed." The other leaders nodded, but uncertainty lingered in the air. The fleet was unlike anything they had ever encountered. "What can we do against such powerful ships?" a young officer asked, his voice trembling. Carter took a deep breath. "We may not have their technology, but we have something they don't: our spirit. We need to use our resources wisely. Our military is strong, but we must think creatively." As the leaders discussed their options, news reports flooded in. The world watched in awe and fear as the Imperial fleet began to descend. People crowded the streets, their eyes turned skyward, filled with dread and disbelief. They had heard tales of alien invasions, but never thought it would happen to them. The first wave of ships landed in a field just outside a major city. The ground shook as they touched down, sending vibrations through the earth. A hush fell over the crowd as they saw the ship's doors begin to open. Troops of alien soldiers emerged, clad in dark armor that glimmered ominously. They moved with precision, marching in perfect formation. Back in the command center, General Carter's heart raced. "This is it," he said. "We have to prepare our forces. We need to show them that we won't back down." The leaders sprang into action, issuing orders to deploy troops and set up defensive positions. As the alien soldiers spread out, they began to wreak havoc in the surrounding area. They fired energy weapons that lit up the sky with brilliant flashes, striking fear into the hearts of the people. Buildings crumbled under the relentless assault, and panic ensued as citizens fled in every direction. But amidst the chaos, some stood firm. A group of brave men and women banded together, determined to protect their home. They gathered weapons and made plans, refusing to let fear take hold. "We can't let them destroy our world," one of the leaders shouted. "We must fight back." The resolve of the humans began to grow, fueled by a mix of fear and anger. They knew they had to unite against this common threat. While the Imperial fleet believed they would easily conquer Earth, the humans were beginning to realize that they were not as helpless as the aliens thought. As night fell, the city glowed with a mix of fire and destruction. The Imperial fleet's laughter echoed through the air, but it would soon be met with the roar of humanity's determination. The first confrontation was just moments away, and both sides were poised for battle. In the heart of the command center, General Carter looked out at the city, a mix of fear and courage in his heart. He knew the fight for Earth had just begun, and the humans would not go down without a struggle. "Prepare the troops," he commanded, his voice steady. "We will show them what Earth is made of. They may have come to conquer us, but they will soon learn that humanity fights back." As the Imperial fleet unleashed its assault on Earth, the humans began to rally. They were ready to stand together and defend their home, unaware that this would be a battle that would define their strength and spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. And thus, the stage was set for a conflict that would change the fate of Earth forever. Earth prepares for battle. The city lay in ruins as darkness fell, but within the command center, a flicker of hope began to grow. General Carter and his team gathered around a holographic map, strategizing their next move. The atmosphere was tense but charged with determination. Every moment counted, and the stakes had never been higher. "Listen up," Carter shouted, his voice cutting through the murmurs of worry. "We've seen what the Imperial fleet can do, but we also know their arrogance. They believe we're weak, and that is their biggest mistake. We must use this to our advantage." The officers around him nodded, their faces a mix of anxiety and resolve. "What's the plan, General?" asked Captain Lee, a young officer known for his strategic mind. "We need to combine our military strength with the creativity of our civilians. The aliens have advanced technology, but they don't understand our terrain or our fighting spirit," Carter explained. "We will deploy troops to defend key locations, but we'll also recruit civilians to help. They know this city better than anyone." Lieutenant Anderson, who had been studying the enemy's movements, spoke up. "I've noticed a pattern in their attacks. They tend to strike at the same places over and over. If we can predict their next move, we can set up defenses in those areas." Carter nodded. "Exactly. We'll set traps and ambushes. Our troops will be ready to fight back, and with the help of civilians, we can create barricades and makeshift weaponry. We need to show them that Earth is not an easy target." As the team finalized their plan, they called in local leaders and community members. "We need your help," Carter told them, his voice earnest. "We may not have the technology of the Imperials, but we have each other. Together, we can defend our home." The community leaders, inspired by the general's words, rallied their people. They organized groups to create makeshift weapons and fortify buildings. Workshops sprang up across the city, where engineers and craftsmen worked alongside soldiers, turning ordinary items into tools of defense. In a nearby school, a group of high school students gathered. They had watched the destruction unfold on television, their hearts heavy with fear. But instead of feeling helpless, they decided to act. "We need to do something," one student exclaimed. "Our families and friends are in danger." With determination, the students brainstormed ideas. They discussed how to use their knowledge of science to create distractions and tools. They built homemade devices from school supplies, turning their fear into action. "If we can create something that will confuse the aliens, we might buy our soldiers some time," one girl suggested. As the community united, the sound of hammers and laughter filled the air. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered in their hearts. They were no longer just individuals scared of an alien invasion. They were a team, determined to protect their home. As dawn approached, the command center buzzed with activity. Soldiers and civilians worked side by side, setting up barricades and crafting weapons. The energy was infectious, and people from all walks of life came together, fueled by a single purpose: to defend Earth. Meanwhile, General Thrax surveyed the chaos below from the comfort of his flagship. "These humans are amusing," he said, smirking. "They believe they can fight back. How quaint." His commanders laughed, convinced that victory was assured. They were unaware that their underestimation of humanity would soon be their downfall. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting golden light on the battered city, General Carter gathered his troops. "Today, we fight for our home, our families, "And our future," he declared. "We will not let these invaders destroy everything we hold dear. Stand strong and fight with all your might." The soldiers raised their weapons high, their spirits soaring. They had a plan, and they were ready to face whatever came next. The humans had transformed their fear into a fierce determination, igniting a fire within them that the Imperial fleet could never have anticipated. As the Imperial fleet prepared for its next assault, the humans fortified their defenses. They were ready to show the aliens that Earth was not a place to conquer easily. The battle for their planet was just beginning, and humanity was prepared to fight back with everything they had. With unity and creativity as their weapons, the humans were ready to face the Imperial fleet head-on. They would fight for their home, their lives, and their future, proving that even in the darkest of times, hope and resilience could shine through. The first encounter. The sun rose higher in the sky, casting a harsh light over the city that had been transformed into a fortress. Barricades lined the streets, and makeshift weapons were ready. General Carter paced back and forth in the command center, his heart racing with anticipation. The time had come for their first confrontation with the Imperial fleet. "Gather the troops," Carter commanded. "We need to be ready for anything. The aliens will not hold back, and neither will we." The soldiers snapped to attention, their faces set with determination. This was their chance to show the Imperials that Earth was not to be underestimated. Outside, the air buzzed with nervous energy. Families had gathered to watch, hoping their loved ones would return safe. Children stood beside their parents, wide-eyed with fear and wonder. The city had come together in this moment, united by the common goal of defending their home. As the first wave of alien soldiers approached, the tension thickened. General Thrax stood on his flagship, observing the humans below. "They are foolish to believe they can stand against us," he sneered, confident in his fleet's superiority. He ordered his troops to advance, eager to crush any signs of resistance. The alien soldiers marched in formation, their dark armor gleaming ominously in the sunlight. They were a sight to behold, but the humans were not intimidated. From behind their barricades, the defenders readied themselves. Carter peered through binoculars, analyzing the enemy's movements. "Hold your fire until they get closer," he instructed, his voice steady. "We need to make every shot count." The soldiers nodded, gripping their weapons tightly, hearts pounding in unison. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could prepare them for the reality of battle. As the alien soldiers advanced, Carter could see the fearlessness in their eyes. They were ready to fight, believing they were destined to conquer. But the humans had something different, determination born from a love for their planet and its people. At the command center, the sound of explosions echoed through the air as the alien troops unleashed their weapons. Bright flashes illuminated the sky, and the ground shook with each blast. The first wave of fire from the aliens struck the barricades, sending debris flying. "Now," Carter shouted. The humans unleashed their defenses, returning fire with everything they had. The sounds of gunfire mixed with the alien blasts, creating a cacophony of chaos. The humans had set up traps and distractions, throwing the Imperial soldiers off balance. From the safety of their barricades, the defenders fired back with precision. They had studied the aliens' tactics and knew where to strike. The first wave of alien soldiers fell, their confidence shaken. Carter watched in awe as his troops fought back with fierce determination. But the Imperial fleet was relentless. General Thrax ordered a second wave, determined to crush the human spirit. The ground shook as more alien soldiers stormed forward, their advanced weapons firing in rapid succession. The humans held their ground, though, refusing to yield. Carter saw an opening and seized the moment. "Push forward," he commanded. "We need to take the fight to them." The soldiers surged ahead, charging toward the alien lines. Their hearts raced with adrenaline, fueled by the desire to protect their home. As they advanced, the humans used their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. They flanked the aliens, taking out their weapons and forcing them to retreat. The tide of battle began to shift, and hope ignited in the hearts of the defenders. The civilians who had worked alongside the soldiers cheered from behind the barricades, their voices ringing with encouragement. They threw rocks and makeshift weapons at the aliens, adding to the chaos. It was a scene of unexpected unity, as everyone came together to fight for their planet. But even in the face of adversity, General Thrax remained determined. He ordered the remaining troops to regroup and strategize. These humans may have put up a fight, but they will not stop us. Prepare the heavy artillery, he commanded, frustration evident in his voice. As the aliens regrouped, Carter knew they needed to act quickly. We have the upper hand, but we can't let up, he told his troops. We must continue to push them back. This is our chance to show them they picked the wrong planet to invade. With renewed energy, the humans surged forward, their spirits high. They fought valiantly, determined to defend their home against the Imperial threat. The battle raged on, each side fighting for their cause. As the dust settled, the first encounter had come to an end. The humans had faced the Imperial fleet head-on, and had shown them that Earth was not an easy target. But this was only the beginning. Both sides knew there would be more battles to come, and the fight for Earth had only just begun. Carter stood amidst his troops, pride swelling in his chest. They had fought hard and earned their first victory. But he also knew that the Imperials would not give up easily. We have proven ourselves today, but we must remain vigilant, he told his soldiers. Together, we will continue to stand against the darkness. The humans had sent a message to the Imperial fleet. Earth would fight back, and they would not be defeated. The turning tide. The atmosphere in the command center buzzed with excitement after the first victory against the Imperial fleet. General Carter felt a renewed sense of hope as he surveyed his troops, each one eager to push forward. They had faced the aliens head-on and emerged victorious. But the threat was far from over. Let's regroup and assess our situation, Carter commanded. We need to analyze what worked and what didn't. The soldiers gathered around a holographic display that showcased their battle from the previous day. Maps and tactical diagrams floated in the air, illuminating the faces of those gathered. Captain Lee pointed to specific areas on the map. We were able to take them by surprise here, but their heavy artillery took a toll on our defenses. We need to find a way to counter that next time. His analytical mind was a valuable asset to the team, and the others listened intently. Lieutenant Anderson chimed in. If we can disable their artillery, we can level the playing field. We should send a small team to gather intel on their positions. It'll give us the upper hand in the next engagement. General Carter nodded in agreement. That's a solid plan. We need to be smart about our next moves. Who's willing to volunteer for this reconnaissance mission? He looked around the room, hoping someone would step forward. A young soldier, Private Smith, raised his hand. I'll go, sir. I know the terrain well, and I can move quickly without being seen. His enthusiasm was contagious, and soon others began to volunteer. With a team of skilled soldiers gathered, Carter laid out their plan. You'll move under the cover of darkness and gather as much intel as possible. We need to understand their movements and strategies. Remember, stealth is key. As night fell, the team set out on their mission, moving quietly through the shadows. The city was eerily quiet, the previous day's chaos now a distant memory. The volunteers navigated the alleys and side streets, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. They reached the perimeter of the alien camp, hidden behind a cluster of abandoned buildings. From their vantage point, they could see the Imperial soldiers, their bright armor contrasting against the dark surroundings. The aliens were still recovering from their earlier defeat, but it was clear they were preparing for another assault. Private Smith scanned the area, noting the positions of the heavy artillery. There it is, he whispered to his teammates. If we can take that out, it'll give us a huge advantage in the next battle. The team worked swiftly, taking pictures and mapping out the layout of the camp. But just as they were about to retreat, an alarm blared through the night. The aliens had spotted them. Run. Carter's team scrambled back, adrenaline coursing through their veins. They darted through the streets, desperately trying to escape the pursuing aliens. The sound of footsteps echoed behind them, and the fear of capture propelled them forward. They reached the safety of their barricades just as the aliens closed in. The team burst into the command center, breathless and shaken. "We have intel," Smith shouted, holding up the data they had collected. Carter's eyes widened as he looked over the information. "This is excellent work." He turned to his team, pride swelling in his chest. "We now know where their artillery is stationed. We can plan a targeted strike." As the soldiers began to strategize, the tension in the air transformed into determination. They knew they had a chance to turn the tide against the Imperial fleet. The plan was set. They would strike at dawn, using the element of surprise once more. The next morning, as the first light of dawn broke through the darkness, Carter gathered his troops. "Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone we love. We faced them once and won. Now we will show them that this is our home, and we will protect it at all costs." The soldiers erupted in cheers, their spirits high. The plan was set, and they were ready to face the enemy. With a renewed sense of purpose, they moved toward the alien camp, their hearts beating in sync with the rhythm of their march. As they approached the enemy lines, they moved stealthily, using the knowledge they had gained during their reconnaissance mission. They set up in strategic positions, ready to strike at the alien artillery. Carter took a deep breath, knowing the importance of this moment. "On my mark," he said quietly, his eyes scanning the alien camp. 3, 2, 1. Now. The humans unleashed a barrage of fire, targeting the heavy artillery. Explosions lit up the sky as they struck true, taking out key positions within the alien camp. The Imperials were caught off guard, their confusion palpable. General Thrax, still recovering from the previous day's defeat, rushed to the command deck of his flagship. "What is happening?" he barked, anger rising in his chest. His soldiers were scrambling, trying to regain control as the humans pressed their advantage. Back on the ground, the humans fought with renewed fervor, pushing into the alien camp. They fought side by side, their bond stronger than ever. With each alien they defeated, their confidence grew, and the realization set in that they could win. As the battle raged on, Carter felt a surge of pride. The humans were holding their ground, pushing back the Imperial fleet, proving that they were not to be underestimated. The tide was turning in favor of humanity. The clash of weapons and cries of battle filled the air, a symphony of defiance. The Imperials, once confident in their strength, were now faced with a formidable opponent. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. With each passing moment, the humans pressed forward, driving the aliens deeper into their camp. Victory was within reach, and they could feel the momentum shifting in their favor. The Imperial fleet had underestimated Earth, but now they would face the full force of humanity's determination. As the battle continued, General Carter knew this was just the beginning. The humans had proven their strength, but the fight was far from over. The Imperials would come back with a vengeance, but for now, they were winning. They would protect their home at all costs, and the world would remember this day as the turning point in the fight for Earth. The struggle for Earth. The dust settled over the battlefield as the last echoes of gunfire faded away. The humans stood victorious, but the remnants of the Imperial fleet were still lurking, regrouping for another attack. General Carter looked out over the landscape, a mix of relief and apprehension filling his heart. They had achieved a remarkable victory, but the war was far from over. "Gather everyone in the command center," Carter ordered, his voice firm. "We need to assess our losses and prepare for their next move." The soldiers gathered, their faces a blend of exhaustion and determination. As they assembled, Carter could see the bond among them grow stronger. They had faced the unimaginable together and emerged victorious, but there was no time to celebrate. "Listen up," Carter began, commanding the room's attention. "We've shown the Imperials that we can fight back, but we can't let our guard down. they will retaliate. We need to plan our next steps carefully. Captain Lee stepped forward, looking at the map spread across the table. We should consider strengthening our defenses in the areas where we've seen the most action. The aliens will likely attack there first. Lieutenant Anderson nodded. And we need to gather more intel on their movements. We can't let them surprise us again. We should send out reconnaissance teams to monitor their positions. General Carter agreed, knowing the importance of information in warfare. Let's mobilize our best scouts. They'll need to stay hidden and report back as soon as they have something. With a plan in place, the soldiers dispersed to gather their gear. Carter watched them go, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility for their safety. They were fighting not just for their survival, but for the future of Earth itself. As night fell, teams set out into the darkness, slipping silently into the shadows. They moved carefully, their senses heightened as they navigated the ruins of the battlefield. The streets were eerily quiet, and every sound seemed amplified in the stillness. In the heart of the alien camp, the Imperials were strategizing their next move. General Thrax paced back and forth, his frustration palpable. They've humiliated us. We cannot let this continue. We need to strike back with overwhelming force. His commanders nodded in agreement, their own anger boiling over. We must take Earth by surprise. If we attack their command center directly, we can crush their spirits, one suggested. Thrax smirked at the idea. Yes, we will show them the consequences of their defiance. Prepare the fleet for a coordinated strike at dawn. Back with the human forces, the reconnaissance teams returned, bringing crucial information. Sir, we have spotted a buildup of alien forces near their flagship. One soldier reported, breathless from his run back to base. They're planning a major assault on our command center. General Carter's heart raced as he processed the information. We need to fortify our defenses and prepare for an all-out attack. They think they can catch us off guard again, but we won't let that happen. The soldiers rallied together, setting up barricades and reinforcing their positions. The atmosphere was charged with urgency and determination. They knew they had to stand strong against the approaching storm. As dawn approached, the tension mounted. The soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, weapons ready and hearts pounding. General Carter could feel the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He addressed his troops one last time. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, and everyone who believes in us. The aliens think they can take our home, but they are mistaken. We will defend our planet with everything we have. With that rallying cry, the humans braced themselves for the impending battle. The first rays of sunlight peeked over the horizon, illuminating the battlefield in a golden glow. The calm before the storm felt surreal, a moment of peace before the chaos that was to come. Suddenly, a roar filled the air as the Imperial ships descended, their sleek forms cutting through the sky. The ground trembled beneath their weight as they landed, soldiers pouring out in a tide of alien armor. The humans took their positions, adrenaline surging as they prepared to face their adversaries once more. Fire! Carter shouted as the first wave of aliens advanced. The air erupted with the sound of gunfire, and chaos ensued. The humans held their ground, their spirits unyielding in the face of overwhelming odds. General Thrax led the charge from the front, his alien soldiers fierce and relentless. He believed victory was in his grasp, but he underestimated the tenacity of the human spirit. The ground shook with explosions, and shouts of courage echoed across the battlefield. Despite the overwhelming force of the Imperial fleet, the humans fought back with everything they had. They worked as a cohesive unit, their training and camaraderie shining through. Each soldier covered their comrades, holding the line against the relentless advance of the aliens. As the battle raged on, Carter's heart swelled with pride. The soldiers fought with unmatched bravery, pushing back against the invaders. Each victory, no matter how small, fueled their determination to protect their home. But the tide of the battle was ever-changing. The Imperials adapted quickly, using their advanced technology to gain the upper hand. They pushed deeper into human territory, overwhelming the defenses that had been hastily erected. Fall back. Regroup. Carter ordered as he realized they were being pushed back. It was time to reassess and protect their command center at all costs. The soldiers obeyed, retreating to stronger defensive positions, their faces set with grim determination. In the heat of battle, Carter knew they had to remain vigilant. The struggle for Earth was far from over, but he refused to give in. They would fight until their last breath, for their home, their families, and the legacy of humanity. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the clash of metal and the cries of battle reverberated around them. The humans would not back down. They were fighting not just for survival, but for their very existence. This was their planet, and they would defend it fiercely, no matter the cost. The turning point. The battle raged on, a chaotic dance of fire and smoke as the two forces clashed. Earth's soldiers fought valiantly, but the Imperial fleet's relentless assault began to take its toll. General Carter knew they needed a turning point, a glimmer of hope to reignite their fighting spirit. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the battlefield, Carter gathered his key commanders for a quick strategy session. They huddled in a makeshift command tent, surrounded by maps and communications equipment. "We can't hold this position much longer," Captain Lee said, her brow furrowed in worry. "The aliens are too powerful, and they're pushing us back toward the city." Carter nodded, acknowledging the grim reality. "We need to draw them into a trap. If we can lure them into the urban area, we can use the environment to our advantage. We know these streets better than they do." Lieutenant Anderson chimed in. "We can create a bottleneck near the old factory district. It's narrow, and if we fortify our positions there, we can hit them hard when they come through." General Carter's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "Exactly. We'll set up our defenses there and prepare an ambush. We need to move quickly. Time is not on our side." With the plan established, the commanders rushed out to relay the orders. As the soldiers scrambled to reinforce their positions, the atmosphere shifted. Hope began to seep back into their hearts, igniting a determination that had been wavering under the pressure of the relentless assault. As the humans repositioned themselves, the Imperial forces continued their advance, unaware of the trap being set. General Thrax, confident in his fleet's superiority, commanded his troops to press forward. "Crush them," he roared, a fierce determination in his voice. "Show them the might of the Empire." The aliens surged forward, their sleek armored forms glistening under the sun. But as they entered the city's outskirts, the humans were ready. They had fortified the narrow streets, setting up barricades and hidden firing positions. "Hold your fire until I give the signal," Carter instructed his soldiers, heart pounding in anticipation. The tension in the air was electric as they waited, each second feeling like an eternity. When the first wave of aliens entered the trap, Carter raised his hand. "Now, open fire." A deafening roar erupted as the humans unleashed their fury. Gunfire rained down from every angle, catching the Imperials off guard. The narrow streets turned into a chaotic battleground as the aliens struggled to regroup under the sudden onslaught. General Thrax watched in disbelief as his troops faltered. "Retreat," he shouted, but the order came too late. The humans pressed their advantage, pushing forward with unrelenting courage. Carter's heart soared as he witnessed the tide beginning to turn. "Advance. Don't let up," he shouted, rallying his soldiers. They surged forward, empowered by their success, fighting for every inch of their city. The streets erupted in chaos, the sounds of battle echoing off the buildings. The humans fought with a fierce determination, reclaiming lost ground and pushing the Imperials back. The tides had shifted, and they could feel victory within their grasp. But even as they pressed their advantage, Carter knew the fight was far from over. The Imperials would not surrender easily. He called for reinforcements to flank the remaining alien troops, ensuring they could not escape and regroup. As they fought on, Carter's thoughts turned to his family back home. He could almost picture them, safe and sound, But he knew the danger they faced if he failed. His determination only grew stronger. Hours passed, and the battle began to wear on both sides. The sun hung high in the sky, illuminating the devastation around them. Bodies littered the streets, the grim reminder of the cost of war. But the humans pressed on, refusing to yield. "Push them back," Carter yelled, his voice hoarse from shouting. "Show them we will not be conquered." With one final surge, the humans fought with everything they had left. They pressed into the heart of the alien forces, driving them toward the remnants of their ships. In the chaos, Thrax found himself cornered. "Fall back. Regroup at the ship," he commanded, but his troops were scattered and disoriented. As the last of the Imperial soldiers fell back toward their ships, Carter felt a surge of triumph. They had done the impossible. They had turned the tide. But he knew better than to celebrate just yet. "Keep your eyes open. They may try to regroup and counterattack," he warned, scanning the horizon for any signs of a counteroffensive. The remnants of the Imperial fleet began to retreat, their ships rising into the sky. But Carter couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. He knew they would return, stronger and more determined than ever. In the aftermath of the battle, as the dust began to settle, the soldiers took a moment to catch their breath. They had faced an overwhelming force and come out victorious, but at what cost? The streets were filled with the aftermath of their struggle, a stark reminder of the price of freedom. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and red, General Carter gathered his soldiers. "Today, we fought for our home and our future," he began, his voice steady. "This victory shows that we are stronger than they thought. But we must remain vigilant. The Imperials will not give up easily." The soldiers nodded, their faces filled with a mix of exhaustion and determination. They had shown the world that humanity could fight back, and they would continue to do so until every threat to their home was vanquished. With their spirits rekindled, the humans prepared for whatever would come next. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. But the struggle was not over. As night fell, they stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in their fight for Earth. The final confrontation. As night settled over the battlefield, a tense stillness enveloped the city. The flickering lights of damaged buildings cast eerie shadows across the streets, reminders of the fierce battle that had just taken place. General Carter and his soldiers stood vigilant, knowing that the Imperial fleet was not done yet. They had tasted victory, but the fight for Earth was far from over. The commander gathered his top officers in the command center, which had been hastily set up in a fortified building. Maps covered the table, littered with markers indicating troop movements and strategies. "We know they will regroup and return with a larger force," Carter began, his tone serious. "We must prepare for their counterattack. We cannot underestimate their determination to conquer our world." Captain Lee nodded, her expression resolute. "We need to reinforce our defenses at the city's entrance. If we can hold them there, we can prevent them from advancing deeper into our territory." "Agreed," Lieutenant Anderson said. "But we also need to take the fight to them. We cannot let them recover." Carter rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "We'll set up a defensive perimeter at the entrance. At the same time, we'll send a small strike team to disrupt their regrouping efforts. We have to hit them hard and fast." As the officers formulated their plans, the distant hum of engines filled the air, sending a chill through the room. Carter stepped outside to survey the horizon. The Imperial ships were returning, their silhouettes dark against the starry sky, accompanied by the glow of their thrusters. The soldiers below prepared for the impending battle, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. They had faced the aliens once and had triumphed, but now they braced themselves for an even tougher challenge. "Ready your weapons," Carter shouted, rallying his troops. "Tonight, we defend our home." As the ships descended, the aliens began their assault. Laser fire lit up the night sky, illuminating the determination etched on the faces of the humans. Carter's heart raced as he watched his soldiers spring into action, each one fighting for their loved ones and their future. "Hold the line," he commanded, positioning himself at the forefront of the battle. "We fight for Earth." The air crackled with energy as the humans unleashed their firepower. The ground shook beneath them, and explosions erupted as the aliens landed, their armored forms emerging from the shadows. The humans pushed back against the invaders, refusing to yield even as the aliens pressed forward. General Thrax, leading the charge, was filled with fury. He could not accept that a mere planet filled with humans could resist the might of his fleet. "Advance. Crush them," he bellowed, his voice echoing through the chaos. The clash of metal and the roar of gunfire filled the air, drowning out the cries of the fallen. The humans fought valiantly, their courage unwavering even in the face of overwhelming odds. They remembered their families, their homes, and the future they were fighting to protect. In the midst of the chaos, Carter spotted an opportunity. "Flank them. Push them back," he yelled, rallying a group of soldiers to follow him. They moved swiftly through the rubble, aiming to outmaneuver the alien forces. As they closed in on the Imperials, Carter felt a surge of adrenaline. They had already defeated these aliens once. They could do it again. He could see Thrax at the forefront, barking orders to his troops. With a fierce battle cry, Carter and his team charged at the alien general. "For Earth," he shouted, feeling the weight of every soldier's sacrifice on his shoulders. The two forces collided in a cacophony of violence. Carter fought with every ounce of strength he had, dodging laser fire and striking down alien soldiers with precision. The adrenaline coursed through him, fueling his determination to protect his planet. Thrax, seeing Carter's approach, turned his attention to the human commander. "You think you can defeat the might of the Empire?" he sneered, drawing his weapon. The two leaders clashed, their weapons sparking with energy as they fought. Around them, the battle raged on, the outcome uncertain. But for Carter, this was not just about survival. It was about proving that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. With a powerful swing, Carter disarmed Thrax, sending the alien general stumbling back. He seized the moment, pressing forward with relentless determination. "This is for everyone you've hurt," he shouted, channeling the anger and pain of his fallen comrades. Thrax, realizing he was losing ground, activated a hidden device on his armor. "This isn't over, human," he snarled, retreating to a nearby ship, his eyes filled with rage. As Thrax escaped, Carter felt a surge of triumph mixed with frustration. They had pushed back the Imperial fleet, but the battle was not yet won. "Don't let them escape," Carter commanded, rallying his troops. "We have to finish this." With renewed determination, the humans launched a final assault. They fought fiercely, pushing back the remaining alien forces until the last of them fell. As the dust settled and silence enveloped the battlefield, Carter looked around at his soldiers, their faces marked by exhaustion but filled with pride. They had done it. They had defended Earth against an overwhelming threat. But even in their victory, Carter knew they had to remain vigilant. The Imperials might return, but they would be ready. As dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Carter stood among his soldiers, reflecting on the night's events. They had fought for their home and proven their strength, but they also knew that the battle for humanity was far from over. "Today, we have shown the universe what humanity is capable of," Carter said, his voice strong and unwavering. "Let this victory be a reminder that we will not be conquered. We will always stand and fight for our planet and our future." His words echoed in the hearts of his soldiers as they stood together, united by their shared struggle. They were more than just soldiers. They were protectors of Earth, warriors ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And together, they would continue to fight for the future of humanity, no matter the cost.